Hey, so today we're going to be talking about our last couple weeks. We're going to be discussing, a little bit about a news article that we read about a new moon and kind of alien life. We touch on our NFL playoff predictions in a special bonus segment. Don't want to miss that. And we, are going to talk about a little bit about the growth of our podcast in our IRL. So be sure to stick around and on to the podcast. Hey guys, welcome to the Thinking is Infinite podcast with Joe
and John.
And we're going to be talking about our break.
Yeah, and Happy New Year to everyone, right, Joe?
Happy New Year.
Yep.
Happy late New Year, but...
Yeah, and anyone who's followed our Facebook page knows why we had a little bit of a delay, right, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
And what was that?
That was because, John here got COVID, so...
Yeah, I got COVID. I was diagnosed. I guess I tested positive right after New Year, so it was, January 2nd?
Mm-hmm.
And, I had my bout with it, just like half the planet at this point, right, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
So it hit me pretty hard. I had a few days where it was a little rough. It beat me up a little bit, but thankfully, after a very long first day, where I had to wait on a 6-hour line, Joe. Imagine sitting there sick outside on a 6-hour line, social distancing with other people, trying to get a test.
Yeah,
so it was a pretty miserable first day of the year, but here we are, and for me, COVID is over for me right now, and we're sitting, January 13th?
Yeah.
And now we could start all the year off now for 2022, right? Got to be a better year than 2021, right?
Maybe.
I hope so. And, today is a special day. It is my father's 75th birthday.
Happy birthday, Grandpa.
Yeah, we just got off the phone with you, and now we're recording. So, yeah, happy birthday, Dad. And you know what? He's a long way from us right now. He's in Florida, enjoying the sunny, beautiful weather down there. But he's always in my heart, and he was the most amazing role model to me growing up as a kid. He may be short in stature, but he's big on personality. And I can tell you that he's one of the few people that can still intimidate me to this day. He was tough on me, Joe. But a great dad.
I'm sure he was.
And he's not afraid to tell me what he thinks every single time we talk, right, Dad? You're listening. I know you're out there listening. Well, happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday.
So, Joe, what was your the last few weeks like for you?
Well, we went after, just before Christmas, we went to the Holiday Lights show. I remember that.
We talked about that on one of the podcasts. How was it?
Yeah, it was really nice. We got to, see all, the Christmas lights. They had, different themes. One of them was, the 12 Nights of Christmas. They always do that theme. But they also did, a space theme and, a prehistoric theme. So they kind of have, all these different themes of lights as you go through. And
how did it compare to the years past?
Holiday Center. It was a bit better than 2020, because 2020, the last year, we had to actually, we had to, order curbside rather than ordering, at that thing. Mm-hmm. So you couldn't really go inside of the Holiday Village, so it was
you were able to this year?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that was kind of good.
And I know you saw a movie, right?
Yeah, I think so. What movie did we see?
You saw a movie about the football movie.
Oh yeah, the one about Kurt Warner. I can't remember what it's called. But anyways, we saw that movie. It was actually really, really good. I thought that they had kind of represented his story well. They had really the actors did a good job. It was just a really good movie, solid movie.
So what would you say? A thumbs up?
Yeah.
2 thumbs up?
Probably.
So the Kurt Warner movie, a good 2 thumbs up. The light show is a thumbs up, right? You said a little bit better than the year before. Mm-hmm. And we went, and I just pretty much the second or third day I had recovered from COVID. Joseph and I and his brother Ryan went to Ryan's first NFL game, right, Joe?
Yeah, we had. It's my second because I went in 2016, but it was Ryan's first.
Yeah, Ryan, we went to the Giants versus the Washington football team, soon to be renamed, apparently.
Probably, yeah.
And, they got beaten up pretty bad, right, Joe?
Yeah, they did. They very much lost that game. I feel like it wasn't a good season for the Giants at all.
No, it wasn't. They actually fired their coach. They fired their general manager. They're starting all over again. And hopefully it'll be a better season. But I'm glad that we got to go to the game together. I'm glad my health got better enough to go.
Did the coach, change this year? Or did it,
No, they had the coach for about 2 years. And they just did not... My personal opinion, from watching this team ever since I was a little kid, this team had almost no talent. And I don't know who could have coached this team to a better record. But... he also made some questionable decisions that you look back and go, that's not really a good coaching decision here and there. So,
wait, what do you mean the team had no talent?
Well,
that's kind of harsh.
It is harsh, but you know what? I've been a fan of them since I was a little kid. So you got to remember, I'm going back 30-something years of being a fan. So I've seen teams with a lot of talent. I've seen teams that struggled. This team had the least talent that I can remember. They had very little good on offense, other than Barkley and the quarterback originally, Daniel Jones. And then both guys got hurt. They just didn't have a lot of talent, Joe. I know it sounds harsh, but they just weren't very good this year.
What about in previous years? They've had talent in previous years.
Yeah, too, some of the years that they had better talent. They won Super Bowls in the past.
2008, 2012, they had good players there, but
of course,
then they left.
Obviously guys get old.
Odell Beckham, for instance, was a really good Giants player, and then he left because of a dispute.
Yeah, well,
Eli Manning also retired, the Giants quarterback, who is also a really good quarterback.
Well, you got to think of it this way, Joe. There's 52 or 53 players on a team. Mm-hmm. So every year you're going to have a few guys that are really good, and hopefully the middle guys, and after the few guys that are really good, you want them to be very good or good. But it was like the Giants recently have had one or two players that are super good, and then you have the rest of the guys that are subpar. And you can't, when you have 52 players, 11 players playing on each side, right? 11 on offense, 11 on defense. You can't have 6 or 7 guys that are just not very good, or you're going to suffer. So anyway, that was, it was a tough year, but, hopefully in 2022 they'll have so maybe their resolution for 2022 is to win more than 4 games, right, Joe?
Maybe.
Speaking of resolutions.
So about ours.
What about yours, Joe? You want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first. My resolutions are maybe to probably to hold on. Okay, my resolutions are to eat healthier. I also want to exercise more, because I haven't really been exercising a lot, and I also want to kind of just go outside more.
I think that's a really good idea, Joe. I think right now, especially when we hopefully will get out of this next COVID season and we can all go out more and do more activities. My resolutions personally, I would like to continue my path to being fit. I kind of like COVID. Last time I got myself weight, I'm like, okay, I didn't gain too much weight. I only gained over 4 to 5 pounds, but I like to take that off. And I like to, get better in better condition as I'm reaching my, late 40s. I'm already in my late 40s. I'm going to be hitting 50 in a few years. So I obviously want to stay healthy. I want to spend more time with you guys, with my boys, and see all my kids as much as possible. I would like to be better in my career, Joe. I've been working for 25 years at the same place, and it's time for me to start doing better, and sometimes you kind of take inventory of your life and you go, I got to start doing better. I got one last push in me as far as career-wise. I have a good 10, 12 years left to work. I got to be good. I got to be great. You know, so
That's true.
I'm motivated now to be the best version of myself. I've been, for the last few years, I've been very, very good, but I think it's time for me to branch out and become better. You know, so, you know, self-challenging yourself is important. You know, so Joe, hopefully with you as you grow older is you always look for a challenge. Always look for something like, you know, I know you do amazing in school, right, Joe? Mm-hmm. What do you find as far as your most challenging subject right now?
Well, it depends. Probably leaning between two of them. Probably actually broadcasting, oddly enough. I like it, but it is pretty hard. You have to, like, learn all, like, the tools. You got to practice with the cameras. You have to, like, do a lot of stuff, you know.
So what do you think about, in one of your resolutions, is being the best at that, the broadcasting that you can be, and learning it, and studying it, and getting better at it?
Yeah, that's probably one of my that could be one of my resolutions.
You know, I think it's important that with everything we do in life, it's just a great lesson, is that you need to sometimes re-challenge yourself. I noticed in parts of my life I've gotten into lulls, and I've gotten, not, I wouldn't say complacent, but yeah, maybe a little complacent, you know, and you kind of stay stagnant. And you don't want to stay stagnant in life. You want to always grow. You want to always learn. And one of the things I love about you, Joe, is that you're constantly, you love to learn. You love to read. You love to expand your thoughts and your horizons. And it's one of those things where, Joe, if I can give you one bit of advice today on this little podcast that we got going on, is to always learn, always grow, always try to expand, and always try to be better.
Yeah.
You know?
Those are all very important. And,
so listen, when we post this on the Facebook page, we'd love to hear your New Year's resolutions and what you're looking to accomplish in 2022. And I hope for the world that COVID goes away and we can all live a better life, right, Joe? I mean,
let's hope so.
It's been a pretty tough 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who would have thought what is it? Right around this time 2 years ago, right, in 2020. Right around now, in January, we kind of heard news stories about how this thing was out there. I remember. Mm-hmm. And, like, life has changed so much.
Since then, yeah.
Yeah, and for some people, in very tragic ways because of this thing. So, you know, thankfully, in our small little sphere, we did pretty good, right? Everyone's pretty healthy on Joe's side, my side. And thankfully, we got through this, and hopefully we continue to stay healthy and happy, and we want everyone in our audience to stay healthy and happy, right, Joe?
Yep, that's what we most want. And, let's go on to our next segment.
Okay, you got it.
Hey, welcome to our next segment, and we're going to actually talk about something very interesting.
We're going to talk about a news story that is not about COVID. Right, Joe? Everything's about COVID, right? We scanned a website that has news stories, and one of the things we noticed is that 99% of it's COVID. But we found an article that's very interesting. So go, Joe.
And it's actually that there was a moon that's bigger than Earth in a solar system around 5,000 light years away.
That is an insanely long distance away, Joe. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing. I always love astronomy. Do you like astronomy?
I kind of do. I feel like the stars and, like, the planets, like, what's out there is so interesting because we don't really know. Like, there's so much stuff in the universe we don't know about. Like, we don't know what dark matter is. We don't really know that much outside of our own solar system because no one really can go to explore that far. Yeah. Like, no space shuttle can go that far unless you'd go faster than light.
Yeah, we don't have the technology yet, but I always found it so fascinating, and I remember taking a class in college, and my mind just couldn't comprehend light years away and how little we are, and it always fascinated me. So when we saw this article, it fascinated me. So what else can you tell me about it, Joe?
Well, it's also they don't really know if it's rocky or if it's like a gaseous moon. Like, you know, it's like, they don't know if it's kind of like more like, you know, the planets like Uranus and Jupiter, or if it's more like Earth and Mars. But they do think that if this is a large enough moon that maybe it has, there are some moons out there that can be habitable, and we have not discovered many actual moons outside of our solar system. We've discovered like a lot of planets, but not moons.
Which I find fascinating. I think that's what makes this so fascinating to both of us, is that, when I didn't really know this until I read the article, is that when they're searching out there in other solar systems, they're looking for moons because moons have the ability to be habitable, which is absolutely amazing, which would absolutely confirm that there could be life in other solar systems.
Perhaps, maybe.
So, Joe, do you believe that we're not alone, or do you believe we're alone?
I feel like we're not. I feel like there is some other planet out there that has life. It doesn't even have to be aliens. It can literally be different species of trees or different types of bacteria, out there
Sure.
Not only in our own solar system, but also in other solar systems. I feel like we're not the only planet that can sustain life. There are others out there, certainly.
It's amazing to me that, what has to happen in order for us as humans to be here. The Earth had to be sitting at a certain point away from the sun, right?
That's true.
So you got to think that with all the different stars out there, what's the chances of other planets that are far enough that they don't get scorched by whatever star there it is there, but close enough that they can have life, right?
That's true, but I feel like there are other planets, and also the stars' habitable zones can also vary. If it's a very large and powerful star, then the habitable zone is going to be probably pretty far away from that star.
Yep.
But if it's a really weak star, it's probably going to be very close to it. Even though it can be very hot, it's still not as hot. It's not as radiating. So if it really depends on how large the star is and how much heat spreads, how much heat radiates.
Now, do you think, Joe, I've never had this conversation with you before, so this would be very interesting on how you think. Do you think we've been visited by by extraterrestrial beings?
That's kind of a hard question. I feel like, they might know about us. I don't know if they visited us, but I do think that they know about our existence, you know what I mean? Because they probably have very good technology. There has to be some sort of planet out there where they do have the technology.
Have you ever looked into some of the reports of sightings and things like that?
I actually have. There was the Pentagon released reports of sightings. There have been sightings in Iran. I feel like they might have actually maybe gone on scientific expeditions, maybe. Learning more about us. Maybe they want to have an alliance. I don't know.
Now, isn't it amazing?
Might conquer.
No, I hope they don't conquer. Because they beat us up pretty bad quickly. But there's, what I found amazing is in 2020. Now, growing up as a little kid, I grew up in the the 80s where I remember the books that fascinated me the most. There was no internet, Joe. So you had to read books, and that was the only way of getting information, or encyclopedias.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there were some books out there that always fascinated me as a little kid, and they were the UFO books and UFO sightings, and they were always grainy photos because, Joe, that was the technology back then in the 60s and the 70s and the 40s, 50s. People didn't have high-resolution cameras to capture what they saw in the sky, and they saw some very suspicious things. So it always fascinated me as a kid, UFO sightings, and I always looked at the pictures going, oh my God, could that really be a UFO?
Yeah, and there was one in Iran apparently where there was this aircraft that apparently in the 70s it was this I don't know if it was actually It might have been false, but there was like a sighting of like an unidentified aircraft, and every time they tried to shoot at it, it would like jam their system, so they wouldn't be able to fire at it. And then they tried to like outflank it, but then it goes at like Mach 10 and just goes right into the sky, right from 0 speed to Mach 10, which is higher than any aircraft that currently is known.
Which makes it impossible to be from Earth, because we don't have that technology. And you know what I found?
Maybe not.
You know what I found fascinating? Like my thought process got a little off track, but in 2020, our own government released videos of what they said they can't explain. So here we are as a society, wrapped up in COVID, wrapped up in elections, wrapped up in Trump, Biden, all this other garbage that was going on in 2020. And we didn't even, no one really paid attention to it. I remember thinking as a kid, if they had gotten on the air in the mid 80s and said, by the way, here, we got videos of things that can't be from this planet, the whole planet would have been stopped and went, oh my God, we barely made a blip. It was barely on the news, right, Joe? I mean, did we really see a lot of news stories about it?
I saw like one article on that, but that was it.
It should have been front page for like for the weeks and months, and say, what is that? And government should have been asked, what is that? What did you see? What else do you have? But barely made a blip on our radar. And I remember seeing a video. I don't know if you saw the same video I did, Joe, where it was a military guy, and he's going, oh my God, did you see that one when the light is moving so fast? It's moving so fast, and the military guy's laughing because he's never seen anything move that way, you know. And that was off, I think, the California coast, if my memory serves me. So, you know, these things have been out there, and our government finally told us about it, and we barely blinked. We're too busy looking down at our phones to look up at the sky.
I guess that's true. Also, it's very odd. I feel like, it's very odd. Like, I don't know what their motives are. Like, you know, like, do they want to, like, scout? Maybe, like, try to, explore, like, expeditions? I don't know, like, what are the aliens' like, motives?
My guess, based on the fact that we're still here, my guess is they don't want to conquer us.
They probably would have done it already.
Exactly. I mean, because think about it. If they have the superior technology to move at those speeds and to disappear out of thin air almost, they could easily destroy us if they wanted to.
Yeah, and also, like, they have so much better technology than we do. And, like, because they moved at speeds that the aircraft couldn't catch up on, so there's no way that they don't know that we don't have that technology. So
if they have the ability to listen to this podcast, we mean no harm. Leave us alone. They're probably studying us right now, Joe. Maybe they're downloading our podcast. So go see if we get downloads from another solar system. Can we check that?
Maybe we will.
But in all seriousness, about the topic of UFOs, Joe, there's a great series. I can't. If you search it on your smart TV, you'll be able to find it. It's called Project Blue Book. Now, Project Blue Book was an actual U.S. government-funded project where they had a scientist and a military guy. And they went out, and every time someone said they thought they saw a UFO, they would go and investigate. Now, this is I think it's a 2-season or maybe 8 or 10 episodes of the scientist's account of what he saw, and it was pretty amazing, Joe, and what they encountered. And after watching that, I believe that some of the things that they saw were certainly out of this world, so to speak. And one of the things that I found extremely interesting about watching that, and I geek out on this stuff, Joe, sometimes, so it's actually a fascinating article that we picked up on, is that in the 40s and 50s and 60s, do you remember what was going on between U.S. and Russia? You learned it in school.
Well, on the Cold War?
Yes. And what were they doing? There was a arms race, right, Joe?
Yeah, the nuclear arms race.
And what were they doing? They were testing them, right?
Yeah.
They were blowing them up and constantly testing nuclear weapons, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the UFO sightings were over bases that had nuclear weapons.
Probably trying to, like, see what kind of nuclear technology we have, maybe.
what our technology was, maybe they were trying to stop us from killing each other. Maybe they're peaceful. Maybe they're
pacifists. You know, like, you know, who knows? I feel like there might also be different groups of these aliens. Maybe some of them want war, some of them want peace, some of them might want an alliance, some of them might want to introduce their technology. Like, I feel like there are probably different groups, like, kind of like different, like, you know how, like, kind of like how different nations have different motives, and some want to conquer the world, some of them want to, you know, just kind of sit back and do nothing. Like, I feel like it's kind of like that, I feel like.
Well,
for certain alien planets want to conquer, some of them want peace, some of them want alliance, some want to explore. I feel like there might be like this sort of
well, there's two things that, Joe, it's very interesting you say that, because there's two things that that happened around that time. Now, there's been stories of alien abductions, and people feel like they were abducted by aliens and taken and experimented on, kind of like the way we experiment on animals, like, you know, doing tests on them and seeing what they're, you know, and looking at their insides and things like that. So that could be part of it. They could be looking at us for scientific reasons. But here's another thing, Joe. There was a famous one, which is, I'm sure everyone who's listening here, but Joe, have you ever heard of Roswell, New Mexico?
Roswell?
Yeah.
I think I've heard of that.
In 1947, something crashed in Roswell, New Mexico, and the initial story was it actually was a flying saucer, and then all of a sudden, our government realized, whoa, we're going to be starting trouble here if we call this thing a flying saucer. So all of a sudden, they changed the story and said it was a weather balloon. Now, what always made it interesting to me is that technology skyrocketed after that. Now think about think of the human race, the human existence, right? We had the Industrial Revolution, right? Where we started to use machinery to do things, right? We had cars starting in the early 1900s, right, Joe?
Yep.
Right? So then airplanes happened around what year? Do you have like
1904?
Right, 1904. We started to fly planes, and all of a sudden, now World War I happens. It was not even really a flying war. It was more of a ground war. World War II was the first war where there were planes, right? But they were still prop planes. They weren't jets. Right after World War II, what happened with technology?
Goes up.
Completely changed, right? So you got to think, what happened in the human race that all of a sudden we just became so much smarter right after into the 50s and 60s and 70s, and all of a sudden computers, and then we're shooting up into the moon. We really made some crazy technological advances around that time. Yeah. So I sometimes wonder, did we stumble upon their technology if there was a UFO that crashed, did our government grab that and maybe do a reverse engineering? It's an interesting theory, right, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, if they crashed there, it'd certainly be possible they could, like, just say, okay...
Grab it and look at the technology and see if this could have been something that they could use, and look at the machinery.
Look at, you know, how they've done it, because there was a massive technological boom after the Second World War. I mean, I feel like it could be explained by other things, just certain, like, you know, the computers were already being used during the war. They were being used to, like, communicate messages and things, and computers didn't really evolve too much until, like, the 80s. True. And as well as that, there were sort of like passenger flights in like starting in like the 20s. There were like certain you know what I mean? Like there were like the ground was there during World War II, so it wouldn't really be that hard to just build up off of it. So
yeah, you know what, Joe? You might be right there. I kind of think my theory is kind of fun. That we stumbled upon UFO technology and we reverse engineered it, and all of a sudden we started to fly jets, and then we started to use different technology to fly, and use different technology to start, you know, living our lives in a different way. And, you know, and here we are sitting there now doing podcasts on phones, and each one of us is holding a little supercomputer in our hands.
Yep, and okay, and that concludes our segment
about UFOs and everything else out there.
Hey guys, welcome to this bonus segment of The Thing is Infinite podcast. Today, I'm actually joined by Ryan. Say hi to the folks.
Hi.
And we are going to be making our playoff predictions.
Alright. The first thing that everyone needs to hear is that I really think that Tom Brady's gonna get this for the Buccaneers. I think the Buccaneers are definitely gonna be winning at least to maybe the championship game.
Yeah, I completely agree. The Buccaneers are a really strong team with Tom Brady on. They're also very good offensive players from what I've heard. Also, they have a really solid team, especially, like I said, Tom Brady just throws all those balls. He's a really amazing quarterback, and he can carry them on.
One team I'm confident to go to close to the Super Bowl is also the Chiefs. Because Patrick Mahomes is really good. Yeah. He's always throwing it quick and
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is one of the only players I can think of that could actually challenge Brady. Yeah. He's one of those people that he can throw quickly, he knows who to throw it to, and he just gets things through quick and nice. Yeah. And one team I think you might have heard of, the Philadelphia Eagles. Where do you think they would stand on this? Do you think they would make it, or do you think they'll lose?
No, because the Buccaneers are playing the Eagles tomorrow, I believe.
Oh.
Maybe it's today.
Yeah, I don't think that's...
Yeah,
I think that's going to be
the defeat. To be honest, the Eagles lost against the Cowboys, but they still got their playoffs. So,
yeah, they did get in, but I don't know. I don't think they're going to win against Buccaneers.
I'm not too confident because they're a really good quarterback, Jalen Hurts. He hurt, I think, his ankle. Oh. And now Gardner Minshew, number 10 on the Eagles, is now taking over, and he's not that great. In my opinion, he's, really bad.
I think you have a future in sportscasting. Maybe you can be a sportscaster.
Well, hopefully.
Because that sounds like a good idea. I mean, you know all the players. Well, all the players on all the teams, so you probably could be a sportscaster.
True, and I know all the rules of football, so...
Yeah, that could really be in your future, I can tell. I've heard the Steelers are also pretty solid, but do you think they'll be able to win against their first challenger? Or
not against the Chiefs? No, not against Patrick Mahomes. I know Big Ben. He's really good. It's just that Patrick Mahomes is really good, and the Steelers have a record of 9-7 to 1. So the only reason they didn't get eliminated from the playoffs is because they had one tie, 7 losses, and
9 wins.
So technically, if that was 9-8, they would be eliminated because more than 8 losses equals elimination.
Yeah, I agree. I feel all these teams have a really tough challenge ahead of them. We have really strong teams, solid teams in these playoffs, so it's going to be kind of exciting to see which teams advance. And who knows? Maybe luck will have some of these teams. Maybe the Philadelphia will be lucky and have a luck streak. Perhaps New England Patriots could be lucky again and advance. Hope not, because New England has advanced way too much.
Not against Josh Allen, no. Not against the Bills. The Bills are too good for that. And also, another team that won, I'm not too sure about the 49ers versus the Cowboys. Both of them are good teams. But
aren't they pretty much tied? They're
I think it's 9-7 for San Francisco, or 9 or 10-7 for San Francisco.
I think it's 10-7, yeah.
Yeah, but
and the Cowboys are 11 to 5.
Or 11 to I think it's 12 to 5. Yeah.
Yeah. But they are both very they're much more tied up than the Chiefs and the Steelers, who you have one clear victor. That one's a bit harder to predict for me.
Yeah,
because both of them have really good quarterbacks, offensive players, defensive players, from what I've heard.
The Buccaneers always had a good defense and a good offense. Same like the Eagles. Their defensive and offense are really good. So, the thing is you really gotta, think your predictions. Because, it's really crazy that, if one offense is good, but the defense is bad, and then your opponent, their offense is bad and their defense is good, it's really up to who has the better offense than the defense. Because if the offense is better, then
they're going to score more.
Yeah, they're going to
Even
score
if your defense
if your defense is good, like, that really doesn't matter. Because all you can do is prevent from scoring. You can't do anything
yourself, and eventually they're going to get through that defense. So if you're off, you have to have really good offense. Actually, there's actually a saying for that. The best defense is a good offense. That's actually a very often times I've heard of that saying, and it really does apply to these sports, right, Ryan?
Yeah, because, like, if you don't have a good offense, then you're done. Because if someone has a good offense and you have a good defense, the offense will still be able to somehow to get the ball down the field. And if the defenders are really good, they'll still be able to do some, like, trick plays that they'll be able to do to get the first downs and keep going.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Offensive strategies are always super important when it comes to basically any sport, but especially in football where you have a real clear offensive and defensive, you really have to get that ball moving and you really have to score.
And that's like when the Giants head coach got fired, the Texans head coach got fired, the Dolphins head coach got fired.
Giants have not been doing good this season at all. They basically had like their worst season since like the 70s.
Yeah,
It was not
Judge,
good.
he really didn't do it. He did. That's how he got fired.
He didn't do a good job, yeah.
He's gone. And the reason for that is because what he did, you need, especially when you're in the playoffs. So this is the thing for the Steelers, the Chiefs, the Buccaneers, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the 49ers, all the teams in the playoffs. Their coaches need to make the right plays. If their coaches' plays aren't good, then the coach gets fired, and you don't want to get fired as a coach because then no other team would want you. Why would you get fired from? So, like, if Joe Judge got fired from the Giants and then he wanted to apply to the Carolina Panthers, they would have wanted him because they know that he got fired.
It's true, and I feel like the plays are very hard too because you have to really have like a good organization. You need a lot of training, and you also need to have the right plans for the right calls. You have to be able to know, okay, this is the plan that we're doing, and this is the right plan. You have to choose the right plan. That's the difficult part,
especially with
for the
running backs. Like, I've always seen in so many teams that they do a stupid play with a run and don't pass as much. Like, I know if it gets intercepted and then they get a pick six, yes, that's a bad thing. But you're getting the ball back. So if you do one bad pass, it's really not that bad. What most of them do is they run. So, like, first down, they gain 2 yards. Then they're 2nd and 8. Then they lose 4 yards because the quarterback gets sacked. Now they're 3rd and 14. Then they gain 4 yards, and then it's 4th and 10. So anyways, they either got to punt or do a field goal, depending on where you are. So, and most of the time they don't get that much with punting. That's why a fake punt, when it happens, a fake punt, you got to do what's right. I saw with the Dolphins versus the Patriots, when the Dolphins wore their throwback jersey, and when the Dolphins punted, they did a fake punt. He pumped faked, and then he slid down, but the guy on the Patriots hit him with his shoulder, and that's unnecessary roughness penalty. They got a first down on 4th. So, because he slid down, because when he was sliding, he went up, and you can't go up and hit someone. You just got to go over them. And
Yeah, I feel like penalties can really destroy any team, even if it's a large, good team. If you have too many penalties, you basically are done because penalties can also lose you yards. Remember, a lot of the penalties, we saw this, I think, a few times at like, the Giants game, what we saw, where like they had penalties and they went back a few yards or something. And it loses you yards and it loses...
It could be a good thing, because if the defense gets a penalty, then you go up. If the offense gets a penalty, then they go back. Mm-hmm. So, the thing is, say I'm 1st and 10. Then I get a penalty for a face mask. Illegal use of hands to the face. Like some penalty that's 15 yards. Now I'm 2nd and 25. Then what if I throw an incomplete pass?
Then
what if I don't even gain a yard on running?
Yeah.
So that's 4th and 25. So with the Giants at the game, they did a quarterback sneak on 3rd and 9. Like, their formation was like bowling pins. It was like their offensive linemen, a few linemen in the back, like a triangle, and then the quarterback in the center. And then they didn't even gain a yard because they're like, let's just do this stupid
Let's just do runs.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really a good idea because you don't pass it, and the runs don't go too far.
Yeah, the runs, unless you have a really good running back who's able to speed through defenders. Which, when a running back starts, they're always good. Like, I've always seen a running back when they really start football, they're always really good because they don't want to get fired right away. But then they get, like, a little bit worse as they go. And, like, I've seen running backs on different teams that are like speed for like 100 yards and they get a touchdown for like a kick return or something. Like, and then if the running backs then they just get worse because I've always seen now running backs getting 1 yard when they got 99. Like, it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, running backs is kind of a hard job. I feel like you have to really be in top shape in order to really be a good running back, and those kind of things, they do deteriorate over time. Yeah. So, thank you for being on this segment, and we're going to conclude and go into our IRL. We have our IRL segment.
Yep, and you can hear the car in a Jeep Cherokee Studios right now.
Yeah, that's what you can hear.
So, Joe, let's talk about the podcast. What do you envision coming up in this year?
What I envision is, I feel like I want to probably rapidly grow it. I want to, like, have a following. Like, it doesn't have to be, like, a massive or, like, huge, but, like, I want my following to grow. I also want our podcast to be better. I don't want it to be like one of those like terrible podcasts or like terrible videos. I want to like make high quality stuff so that people will actually listen to it rather than just something that can just be spewed out or something.
Yeah, and you know what, Joe? I agree. And you know what? I have a goal in my own head, okay? I would love to see us hit 3,000 downloads by mid-year.
That can happen.
So what we're going to do is we're going to continue to put out content, and we're going to continue to, continue to do this and continue to try to do our best quality efforts, right, on a weekly basis. And we'd love for you guys to share it with people you know. Just hit the little share button on your Apple, or tell someone to look it up. And it's called the Thinking is Infinite podcast, right, Joe?
Yep.
And one of the things I would love for us to do, what do you think about putting it on the audio version on a video platform like a Rumble or a YouTube or something like that? Now, I know YouTube is humongous.
Well, Google Podcasts, it already kind of has it on YouTube, you know what I mean? Because Google Podcasts has it, but maybe like another, like Rumble or something might work, And also, I feel like eventually I want to go into, like, video podcasting.
I would love to do that too, Joe. I know Joe got a microphone, right, for Christmas, a podcasting mic, and I think that would be a really good idea. I think maybe, why don't we do that? Why don't we put a goal, like we were saying in the previous segment, set high goals, set high expectations. Let's set a goal that we're going to do at least one video podcast before the end of the first quarter of this year. So,
well, I don't know, because I kind of want to, like, grow the podcast first, you know what I mean? I want to, like, before expanding to other mediums, I want to, like, grow the podcast beyond a certain point. Like, I want to, like, grow about, like, maybe, like, 100,000 or something. Like, have it, like, grow to a certain point,
off, Joe,
and then have people actually watch, like, a video podcast. Like, I want to, like, because you want... If you're doing, like, if you're, expanding to a different medium, you want to, like, carry over that audience. So I want to, like, make sure that we have, like, a good audience, and then we can put out, like, video podcasts. I'd also want to, like I said, just start. I feel like we can do better. I feel like we have flaws in this podcast, and I feel like we should address some of those, you know what I mean?
I think offline, we should have a very good conversation about what we can do differently and we could do better. And that's one of our goals in 2022 is to give you guys the best experience for the half hour to 45 minutes that you listen to us once a week. And we want you guys to enjoy it. We want you guys to laugh. We want to inform you. And we want you guys to feel entertained for the time you're listening.
Yep. And that about concludes the podcast. And that concludes our podcast. If you'd like to make sure if you like this podcast just to leave a little follow. And that's it. Bye.